jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Saying that you're the best, you gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy, is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports.
Yo, let me know if you can hear me now, man. My mic is tripping. It should be good now though. Let me get back to what I had set up before. My bad, y'all. This happened yesterday, but it should be good. Just let me know in the chat that everything's straight. Appreciate you. And then we're gonna get to cooking. You know what I'm saying? Just give me a minute to set this up once again. And we're gonna discuss the reality of what we heard on this podcast. Um, Let me just share something right quick. Okay. Hey, shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and game. My apologies. Um, my mic was acting up for whatever reason. I've been on here in a minute anyway. But just let me know whenever you don't hear them for a long period of time. Just put it in the chat. I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? I was hoping somebody tell me yesterday that no sound was coming out. But let's get down to the reality of things when it comes to boxing media, right? There are some fights that have been that took place in the last 3 to 4 years, you know, and those fights were fights that will stick with boxing for quite some time. And the reason why they're so important is they pretty much change the scope of boxing and what boxing fans viewed it as, you know, without expectations, assumptions, and without false predictions. Some people got it right, some people got it wrong. But most of all, you know, boxing is an annual sport in itself. So a lot of this attachment that we show to the fighters is what we call fan favoritism. It's going to happen all the time. You hear people say they're a fan of the sport, not the fighter. In order for you to like the sport, you got to like a fighter, because if you take the fighters away and extract them away from everything, you don't have nothing but a ring. You don't have nothing but a ring. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that there are some fights that's going to take place in boxing that is going to draw a lot of intense energy to certain people debating on which fighter is the good and which fighter is bad. That means if you're willing to sit up here and do live streams and talk about which fighter you like the most and why they're going to defeat this fighter, that means you are a fan of the fighter. You're not just critiquing anymore. You are a fan of the fighter. And that's exactly what happened on July 29th. Okay? July 29th, we all know what happened. We all know what we was expecting in 2023 at the T-Mobile massacre. We already know. The fight happened. We already know the results. Errol Spence activated his rematch clause and did not execute. So recently, we've been seeing a lot of Errol Spence sightings. Other than jumping in the ring, saying he was going to come back and fight Fundora. You know what I'm saying? Now he's back. And I'm happy for Spence, yo. I'm happy that Spence is coming back to the fight so we can see him in there outside of what happened to him with Terrence Crawford. If you just joining, you just graduated high school, this their early semester of 2026. Congratulations to you. If you select to come over here and be a boxing fan, let me give you this fair disclosure. Let me provide you a free disclosure. Be extremely careful on what chat you attach yourself to and be a thinker. Okay, think for yourself when it comes to these topics, because boxing is finicky. Boxing is it changes like the weather. Boxing can get you in your feelings a bit, especially when you're learning the sport and being able to converse with others about the sport. So we have a lot of novice, tyros, rookies to the game that's come over here speaking about this particular subject. It's crazy how we say it took 5 years for this to happen, Spence and Crawford. And then you turn around and you say to yourself, well, I didn't see it being as lopsided as it was. You know what I'm saying? Hey, shout out to Mark Nash in the building. Shout out to Big Bunsen Boxing. Shout out to Mark Nash with the $2 super chat, bro. Salute to you. Please match my donation to support the show. I appreciate it, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, like I said before, hey, I've been out for a minute. You know, I had to take care of some personal business with mom and all that. I just been chilling. But I appreciate brothers like Mark Nash, who's actually locally down here still doing his thing, breaking beats. And I salute you for dropping a donation on the channel. Real talk. Shout out to AB. You know what I'm saying? Not the AB that you see streaming all the time and, you know what I'm saying, tilting the bottle back, but the part of the hottest chat in the MF and game, man. Salute to you, bro. You know what I'm saying? One of the day ones in the building with the 10-piece super chat. EJ shitted on his fans and they're crushed. That's what I like, man. We still got them hitters out there. You know what I'm saying? We still got them hitters out there. Salute and one love to Mark Nash, man. Salute, one love to Arnold Brown for those donations. I appreciate y'all, brothers. And salute to everyone else that's in the building. So you probably asking yourself, right? Hey, WCS, why are you coming back and talking about Errol Spence right now? Because he's due to return to the ring. Errol Spence is due to return to the ring, y'all. It has been said that Errol Spence is set to fight Tim Tszyu next month, July 26, 2026. Tim Tszyu 27-3. He's fighting him in his backyard like he did Kell Brook. That's what I used to like about Errol Spence. He went over there. He walked to the aisle. He walked down the walkway, the tunnel. He had a smirk on his face like, yeah, I'm here to handle business. I'm here to show y'all I'm better than Kell Brook. And, you know, granted, Kell Brook had moved up, and we ain't talking about that. But he's traveled into his enemy's backyard. He's not new to going to someone else's territory, as we call it, enemy territory, and fighting. Tim Tszyu, 27-3, 18 knockouts, is set to face Errol Spence Jr., who is 28-1. That one lone loss was that of July 29th, the T-Mobile massacre to Terrence Bud Crawford. Now he's set to go over there and fight Tim Tszyu. And Tim Tszyu is on a 2-fight win streak. They may have been mediocre names, but they was all undefeated. Why do I say that? It's because Errol Spence, in an interview with Andre Ward, All the Smoke Fight podcast, he was talking about finally those intimate moments that a lot of us assumed was going on. The speculations of no sparring. You know, he had a hurt rib. He was weight drained. He was seen running up the hill on fight week. He was out there drinking. It has so much newsworthy content that was out there that the YTC was freaking going live 4-5 times a day. I know some of y'all made mad money off Errol Spence and Crawford when it came to these live debates. I mean, every time you flip the screen on, man, it was a goddamn Crawford Spence debate. Like AB said, you know it. You know it. You know what I'm saying? You know it. Them aerosexual was different. He say Errol Spence shitted on his fans. I say his fans pretty much went above and beyond, overboard, to say that Spence was this fighter. He was that fighter. He was going to do this to Crawford. He was going to do that. But let's get to the audio. I want to do a slight reaction on Andre Ward asking Errol Spence these questions. Once again, it's good to see Errol Spence back in the driver's seat. I don't know what he's driving. I don't know if he's driving a Volkswagen, a freaking, a little red wagon, or one of those tricycles missing the third wheel. This just so happened to be in the back. I don't know. We talking about a pogo stick. I don't know how Errol Spence is going to look in there against Tim Tszyu. But I can tell you he sat down with Andre Ward, the Hall of Famer, and he said some things I want to talk about. All right. Let's listen in.
You know what I'm saying? I went to my people. I was like, man, give them that, like, I just want to make the fight happen, and they, they had their reserves about it because, they want to maximize, they want to maximize what I get or whatever. But I was like, man, I'm not tripping off that. Like, just, made the fight happen. And plus, I ain't want to be a guy who I could have, but if I'd have moved up, I didn't want to had it on my back, like, man, EJ ducking at work, EJ ducking.
Yo, EJ. I'm glad you didn't move up either, because the way these aerosexuals was milking your clout, the way they was milking you like a goddamn heifer out there, they was milking Errol Spence. You couldn't have moved up to 154 with the way they was sitting up here talking that you was gonna beat Bud. I'm absolutely elated that Errol Spence did not move up to 154 without facing Terrence Crawford. I'm glad both fighters was able to get that money. That munyon. I'm glad they was able to get paid. Truth be told, I had a lot and still have my reserve, but not so much because Crawford retired now. So I don't have too much of a payload of criticism to give to Errol Spence. I don't. I'm looking for him to go in here and do what he have to do against Tim Tszyu. But let's get back to this, because it was a very, very great interview between Andre Ward and Errol Spence Jr. He pretty much checked some boxes that people wanted to hear from his mouth. And when it comes down to how he treated his fans, he didn't really give a damn about what his fans was talking about before he fought Terrence Crawford. That's the crazy part about it. The aerosexual was more so interested in getting attention and a response from Terrence Crawford speaking negative on X, to the point where they wasn't even really talking about Errol Spence. They was busy saying what Crawford couldn't do, what Crawford won't do, what he can't do, what he ain't gonna do, until that bell ring.
Action, this and that. Oh, he can fight Ugas and this, but he can't fight Crawford and this and that. So I was just like, man, just make it happen. Like, it gotta happen now. Even though I do feel like he probably would have fought me up to 54, but I was just like, maybe if I have him 47s for, all the titles, whatever, this and that. Come on, let's do it. So we talked about it, and I feel like we made it happen between each other before, it could happen, but between the suits.
It wasn't no guarantee. They just know what pretty much like, okay, the gate probably it's gonna sell out, so that's pretty much gonna be this sponsorship, site fee. So that's pretty much how you can gauge what you're gonna make when you're just going off a percentage. Is that how y'all did it?
Yeah. Like it wasn't no guarantee.
Yeah.
Like,
but you knew the fight was made, been talked about for years. Everybody wanted to see it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we ain't gonna make no money. It just mattered. The question is how much.
Yo, Ward said everybody wanted to see it. Not the frolic back down memory lane, y'all. But it seemed like everybody wanted to see it. This fight right here, it just seems like it was more important than the oxygen that we had outside. Everybody wanted to see Errol Spence Crawford. This was a fight that's been just airborne for such a long time, y'all. You remember when COVID hit and people was wearing masks? People didn't want to wear no mask with this. This was a very toxic matchup in boxing history. Extremely toxic. You had two fan bases that was willing to do anything and everything to support their fighter. And this just happened to be two fighters that's on the pound for pound list, right shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow. You know what I'm saying? This was everything that we look for in a boxing match. They was both qualified. Errol Spence has multiple titles. Bud Crawford had a single title in that division, but he had titles in other divisions also. I mean, the credentials was there, stamped, approved, validated, certified. One of the most talked about fights in boxing history. A lot of people lost family members, friends, channels, hey, subscribers. You know what I'm saying? Hey, there were broken relationships that took place on the battlefield of the YouTube community. Let's get it popping.
Yeah, the question was how much you was gonna make. So it wasn't really no guarantees, and I guess they wanted me to maximize everything. So they was, trying to get a huge number, and I think it could have happened if we'd have waited out longer. But
oh really?
Yeah, but no, I'm saying like I would have got a bigger percentage.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant pay-per-view.
If I was just let, Adam do everything, he probably would have took a couple more months, whatever. Terry, he a guy, he ain't,
he ain't going.
Yeah, he ain't going.
You ain't going.
Yeah. But I was just like, man, just make the fight happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And my people made it happen together. So
yeah. Going into that camp,
pay attention, y'all. This is where it gets extremely interesting. This was one of the questions of this entire interview that should have basically had people perked up real nice, to put into your cachet of boxing nuggets that you want to use when you're on your live stream or whatever, when you want to bring up and you want to bring this out the cachet of archival boxing matches. Andre Ward speaks about something that is extremely important. He proposes the question about fight camp leading up here because it was so many people, Doodoo Brown, that was up here saying that they had phone numbers to the camp and this and that, and they had that person on the line. Everybody knew what was going on in Errol Spence camp, but nobody can bring no footage. Shout out to the only person that would have had footage if DJ wouldn't have been such a hater, and that's Mr. IOTBA. 214-214. He would have been the only one that could say, hey, I got the footage because I was there, whatever. But the fight count was very important because there was so many rumors going around that Errol Spence was injured. This wasn't going on. That wasn't going on. But I always said to myself, this was never the case when he fought Yordenis Ugas. This was never the case when people used to talk about the world-class furniture store. No, this wasn't the case when we was talking about Derrick James having two unified champions in his camp at the same time. This was never a situation. But now all of a sudden, we got to hear this.
When Derrick have any conversation like, look, this is how we got to get down for this fight, strategically, or even your strength and conditioning. Do y'all have any talks about that going into that camp?
Nope.
Come on, EJ.
No, come on, EJ. See, come on, EJ. Come on, man. Humanistically, you're trying to tell me a conversation then surface where you have a professional boxer And Derrick James, even though he's way past his prime and his record's nothing to look at, even if you was just trying to make an example on how somebody can go from a boxer to a world-class trainer, even though they weren't a world-class boxer. But anyway, come on now, EJ. Come on, bro. You cannot tell me that you're going to face a human being who is your trainer, that your daddy brought to you way back in the days, way back in the days. And you're trying to say the biggest fight of your career, you and Derrick James ain't talking? You couldn't have had an issue with the money right then because that wasn't an issue. So how can you explain to us, how can you make it stick that we supposed to believe that you and Derrick James did not have a conversation leading into the Crawford fight about strength and conditioning? It doesn't make any sense because wasn't there photos out there of strength and conditioning going on? Who did the strength and conditioning prior to? Let's keep it moving.
No,
Biggest fight of both of y'all's career.
man, that camp was booked.
The whole camp?
Yeah, bro. Like I didn't spar probably like what 6 weeks.
My God. EJ is saying he didn't spar for 6 weeks. Now, I have some very intellectual, advanced people in the hottest chatting MFing game. I just want to ask, sincerely, for real, genuinely, I want to ask you this. If I was to tell you, right, I'm off this joint for a year straight, you don't hear nothing. Time I pop back on here, you're going to ask me what? Hey, man, why you was off social media that long? Right? So when Errol Spence say he didn't spar for 6 or 7 weeks, what is our question going to be to Errol Spence? Why you didn't spar for 6 or 7 weeks? Were you injured? What would bring this about? I mean, we heard this, that, and the other, but why wouldn't you be able to spar for 6 or 7 weeks? You need to go into detail and let us know. And when I hit play, let's see if Errol Spence goes into detail about why he didn't spar for 6 or 7 weeks. Because nobody's buying this BS that you didn't train for 6 or 7 weeks. Because people always remember when Crawford say, I don't need Errol Spence for my legacy. My shit is already cemented in history.
Yeah, like 6, 7 weeks. Like I didn't no sparring. Like, it was just a lot of stuff that went wrong in that camp. Like even like before that, like the sparring partners, like the guys didn't fit. I ain't had no southpaws in there to spar.
So let's get this straight, EJ. You say you didn't have sparring for 6 or 7 weeks, but the sparring partners was messed up. You didn't have no southpaws. I'm just trying to put it all together because trying to formalize a conclusion, I have to get all the evidence together just so I can process it all. You either didn't have no sparring, or what's the deal here? You did have sparring, or you just didn't like the sparring that you had because they wasn't southpaws. And if you did have southpaws, who you was going to bring in there to spar? Because at one point in time, didn't McAlooey come in there and prevent Spence from coming back when he was supposed to? So, McAlooey went in there and went viral for a minute because they say he was in there touching you up. But when it comes to him stepping in there for a fight camp with Crawford, a fighter that he said he was going to break like Conta, Errol Spence said he was going to break Crawford like Conta. Not Toby, but Conta. Yeah, I remember because I was there in Beverly Hills when he said it. He said he was going to break Crawford like Conta. But after years had passed and a lot of moons have set, right? A lot of seasons, and for this case, the amount of years he's been out, he's going to now say that the sparring partners that was in there wasn't all that, and it was hardly any southpaws. So did you spar for you didn't spar for 6 or 7 weeks, or the sparring that you had was mediocre and you weren't satisfied with who they brought into the camp? Which one is it?
Or none of that. Like it was all out of whack, but it got to a point to where, you know what I'm saying, I felt like it got to a point too, like my body felt like even in the Pacquiao fight, like I guess I don't know if I was, not living up, not I was basically living wrong, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Even getting ready.
What? I was living wrong. I was living wrong. Spence said something that was profound in this interview. He finally admitted to living wrong. Like people like myself and others was on here at that point in time when we was on the side of Terrence Bud Crawford, and we was basically, heavily biased toward, any Errol Spence fan that was up here saying what was going to happen to the square. And they were saying, oh man, that accident, he's good. He can still beat Crawford and all that. Errol Spence finally admitted he was living wrong. Errol Spence admitted he was living wrong, y'all.
Ready for? I was basically living wrong, bro. You know, living up, not. I was basically living wrong, bro. Not living up, not. I was basically living wrong, bro. You know,
even I was living wrong, bro. I guess time heals all wounds to a point, right? I'm not saying the dude don't have scar tissue, but Errol Spence say I was living wrong finally. All the time he was saying that people was hating on him, and he was checking people that he felt that was in the media talking crazy about him, but yet internally your own demons kept you from admitting before now that you was just living wrong. And there was so many people out there that was saying that Errol Spence was living wrong, that he was out in the clubs and he was doing what he was doing. But then it wasn't nobody around him that can stop him from doing it. After the Sean Porter fight, people say what they say about that. I remember seeing, him at a PBC event with Adrian Broner. And I look at this shit, right? It's just so freaking puzzling to me that when they was at the PBC fight, it was Adrian Broner, Tank Davis, Bunny, EJ, and AB was sober that night. Opposite of what you see right now between him and Dean. But he was sober that night. And Spence say, I started boxing in 2015. He made a mistake, but yet you can clearly see he had some type of foreign substance, chemical, that was controlling his thought process. I mean, some of us go to a bar and we're able to order this particular liquid substance. And according to the quantity for which you consume, it can change the way you think. And that potentially may have been what we was witnessing with Errol Spence Jr. that night when he said he started boxing in 2015. And then, AB looking at him like, huh? What? That was a night where AB was sober, but EJ wasn't. So the reason why I'm bringing it up is that it was certain points of time that he was intoxicated in public. When he jumped in the ring with Sean Porter, after Sean Porter had won his fight. And he said he wanted next up. And Sean Porter was like, since you took my moment away, yeah. But he didn't fight Errol Spence next. But EJ was somewhat influenced when he jumped in the ring then. So it's been plenty of times where we saw him outside of the square where that was going on. But now he says he wasn't living right. Good for him to finally admit to it.
Getting ready for Crawford?
No, I'm saying before the Crawford fight.
Got you.
And you can't get in camp thinking, you know what I'm saying? You're not that young when you get in camp and you thinking everything gonna be, oh, you good now. Like, nah, you gotta, even out of camp, you gotta live right. So once you get in camp, everything be cool. Just like now, like I'm cool now because, you know what I'm saying, I've been living right. Like I ain't been drinking none of that, like still been working out. So
he said he been living right. I don't know how to say this to the aerosexuals. I know a lot of you are still buried and you're trying to get out that casket that July 29th, put you in. I get it. Some of you choose to stay buried up under those brushes, and you know what I'm saying, to keep that dirt nice and heavy so you can't see the sunlight. I get it. But your boy said he's living right now. NOW. He's living right now. He wasn't living right back then when it came to getting in the camp for Crawford. But y'all can't sit up here and reduce the legacy that was fulfilled by one half of the two fighters. The legacy was, we're fighting for undisputed. That was the legacy. The legacy had a lot of people that was involved in basing their opinion and pushing narratives to that legacy fight. And Crawford came out on top. But see, when it came down to you all understanding that Spence already had this information out there in general public, y'all didn't want to believe it. Y'all busy was interested in talking about Crawford, a fighter who wasn't out there having all these damn moments where people saw him out there inebriated, drunk, intoxicated. Y'all was busy putting your interest into somebody who was living right before the fight and training like it was their last, if their life depended on it. We seen that. So I say to the aerosexuals, y'all never really supported Errol Spence the way you should have, because y'all knew he was out there, but y'all rather just sweep it up under, thinking nobody was going to see it. And after a while, that same dust and that pile of debris that you swept up under there, it comes back out onto the floor. And y'all know what Errol Spence was doing back then, but y'all just didn't want to say anything because you wanted to be with the popular guy. You know what I'm saying? You wanted to stick with EJ because you just felt like it was a time in boxing where, oh man, we've been waiting for this fight forever. Yeah, EJ gonna pull it off. But EJ told y'all right here, he wasn't living right. No matter how young you are, you just can't go in the fight camp thinking you're going to. That's exactly what happened. A lot of ego was involved. They felt like it wasn't broke. EJ was undefeated, 28-0. They felt he can go in there and beat Crawford. Why? Drum roll. Bing, bing. They said that nobody that's on Crawford's resume was worthy of a mention. They said Errol Spence can beat everybody on Crawford's resume. So if that is indeed the case, that Crawford never had a quality of opposition on his resume to match up to that of Errol Spence, it should be quite easily for Errol Spence to beat Crawford, being that they believe Errol Spence can beat everybody on Crawford's resume at the time. I'm not BSing you. They believe that. You know how many debates and live streams, you know how many people was on here that kept saying the same shit? Who's the best fight on Crawford's resume? Don't say Julius Ndongo. Look how the damn losses he got. But he was undefeated when Crawford beat him and stopped him in the third round. He was undefeated, yo. Jeff Horn. Oh, man, nobody was looking for Jeff Horn. Who cares how he looked against Pacquiao? Nobody even cared about him. But he was a champion for it. Didn't nobody care about him? Nobody was looking for Jeff Horn. What about Jose Benavidez? Man, come on, man. He got shot 20,000 times in one leg, dog. He was never balanced. He was stumbling all over the place, man, in the 12th round when Crawford hit him. If he would have had two legs, that uppercut wouldn't have hit the way it did, and he wouldn't have stumbled on the mat. This is where you get him at. What about Yorkis Gamboa? Now, that fight right there, I'm glad you brought up Gamboa, because that proves Errol Spence is going to beat Terrence Bud Crawford, because Gamboa hurt Crawford. Crawford has been on record as saying Gamboa hit hard. He hit him hard. He had fast feet. Do you know how many live streams that I had to listen to that was talking about Crawford being hurt by Gamboa? But yet, with all of that said, you're trying to tell us, the people, that Errol Spence based off Yordenis Ugas, based off Danny Garcia, based off Sean Porter's split decision win, you can just wipe all of that away, saying that Crawford match was going to be a wipeout, all because there wasn't a Sean Porter on Crawford's resume at the time. There wasn't a Yordenis Ugas on his resume per se. There wasn't a Danny Garcia, Mr. Catchweight himself from 40 to 47. That's what she was trying to tell me. But it's good to hear that EJ is finally coming clean. Unfortunately, there's been too many casualties of the aerosexual community that have since went into extinction.
Once I get in camp, you know, I'm free flowing. I'm free flowing, and in that camp, bro, everything was just out of whack. But you know, and my body was just, it wasn't there. But I wasn't the type of guy who was going, bro. If you look at it, bro, what's the main thing for any organism in the world? What is main goal to do?
He meant organization, I'm supposing. He said organism. I can't really speak for organism because scientifically my credits doesn't allow me to speak from a professional level, you know what I'm saying, of organisms. But I'm assuming organization.
I don't know.
Whatever kids or it has is to preserve that and keep that going. So for me, I knew that this maximum payout, you know, is going to take care of my family. Even if I'm not here, it's going to take care of my family, you know.
So he might have been talking about organisms. He might have been talking about organisms. Hey, y'all. I'm going to do you one better. Organism is an individual animal, plant, or single-cell life form. Fish and other organisms have been destroyed over large areas of the creek. I mean, I'm just trying to find out just little bits and pieces of what he actually meant. But let's keep it moving.
You know what I'm saying? It'll take care of me, you know, and I didn't know if I was going to box again, ever again. You know what I'm saying?
You felt like that before the fight?
Yeah, I felt like that before the fight. Like, I didn't know if I was going to box again ever again. That's why I took so long off. Like, I took this long off. I didn't know if I was going to box again.
What fight is he talking about, y'all? What fight is he talking about? Errol Spence said he didn't know if he was going to box again. So, Terrence Crawford. Okay, before he stepped in there with Terrence Crawford, right? Errol Spence had fought twice in 2019, one time in 2020, Danny Garcia. He fought once, Yordenis Ugas, when he came back in April 16th of 2022. He fought Yordenis Ugas at 147 pounds for Yordenis Ugas title in 2022. Then from April 16, 2022 to July, we're talking about just outside of a year. Just outside of a year. July 29, 2023, he fought Terrence Crawford. So one fight in 2022, one fight in 2020, two fights in 2019, two fights in 2018, one fight in 2017. One fight in 2 fights in 2016. So his average was 1 to 2 fights. So I'm not quite understanding what he mean by taking so long to come back. Maybe I'm off the mark just a little bit.
Can't do anything. So I was like, bro, I'm still gonna fight, you know. It is what it is. Like, and I'm not gonna make no excuses about it. I'm just gonna do what I do, and then whatever.
I believe this interview in itself is an excuse. Even though there's a mission, I still believe it's full of excuses. I mean, hindsight excuses. Real talk. And those are the worst. Because when it comes to boxing, hindsight excuses, it's when you're looking back on something and you already know what the general public is thinking. You know what they've thought and what they're currently thinking. So to process whatever you believe it should be, you're gonna come up with your narrative and say, well, based off what Errol Spence said, it just proves us right that he wasn't feeling a certain way since the accident. You know, he was weight drained, he looked tired, and all this other shit. But I think when it comes down to Errol Spence, it's just he was making a lot of excuses, bro. He was making a lot of excuses. Unfortunately, he was making a lot of excuses in this interview. He may have came clean on certain areas of question marks that was out there floating around that people really wanted to know the answers to.
Criticism come with it, wherever criticism come with it, bro. But at the end of the day, I'm doing it for a bigger picture. Like, you know, I was hard headed to do stuff my way. So hey, I gotta be hard headed too in this sense to you know.
See, I respect that. You know, I respect the fact that Spence said he wasn't living right, and then he was hard headed. And this is all that the Bud fans, me not being a spokesperson for, but that's all that we was pretty much saying, that Spence was hard headed. He was out here doing what he was doing, and if you knew you had a fight, I mean, a legacy defining fight that would have changed Errol Spence's career. Him beating Bud Crawford would have put a blemish on Bud's record, and the Canelo fight never would have happened for Bud. It would have happened for Errol Spence Jr. Why? Because Spence had been wanting to fight Canelo for quite some time. So that fight would have happened for Errol Spence and not Bud Crawford. A portion of Bud Crawford's legacy would have been halted if on July 29th, Errol Spence would have went in there and defeated Bud Crawford. But we know that was never going to happen. He was in there with the individual that he took for granted. When they had that, when they're pretty much crossed paths in Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they had that viral meeting. Who could have predicted that Bud Crawford would prognosticate stopping Errol Spence Jr.? And for Errol Spence to hear this audio and say to himself, on God, you won't stop me. On God. Because I remember hearing the cadence, the verbal lyrics over here on the YTC, how big Errol Spence looked. And I couldn't quite understand it, because these are people that didn't understand that boxing is a sport that sometimes the bigger fighter don't win. The bigger fighter does not win. And they have to tip the scales all the same. That's why I couldn't understand, once again, when I was in Beverly Hills and they're right there in front of me and I hear people talking, oh my God, look at Spence. Look at Spence. I'm not going to drop any names because that's old stuff. But some of these damn channel these vocal channel pundits was saying that Terrence Crawford looked like a little kid standing in front of Errol Spence. But see, one of these fighters was on their projected weight to make the fight, and the other one had a lot more to lose. So who was really the smarter fighter? Which wasn't identified by their fans. Once again, they was looking at Spence as being the bigger fighter, and they are fighting in upcoming weeks. And Crawford looked much smaller because he's been more disciplined.
Put myself on the altar, man. Sacrifice myself.
He said put himself in the altar and sacrifice himself. You know, in combat, I don't think Errol Spence at all went in there and sacrificed himself. I don't think it was a sacrifice that he made, that he said, I'm just going in here and lay down. I would never say that about EJ, that he went in there and laid down against Bud. EJ, through all the adversity and turmoil, all the hailstorm that he was experiencing that night, all the inclement weather, all the precipitated damn disappointment that was going on right in front of the eyes of those individuals who freaking betted on Errol Spence. He did not quit. EJ never quit, yo. He's telling us that his training camp sucked and this, that, and the other. And he still went in there and got off the canvas. He still got up. He still got up, continue to get up. He didn't quit. He didn't lay down. So I wouldn't say he went in there and sacrificed himself that night, even though he did get beat up some fierce. I mean, the discombobulation, disfigurement, and the punishment that he took, he wore it like a mask on Halloween. If they was making a new scary movie, Errol Spence should be first in line and say, you know what? I like that mask right there. Get a mold, please. Mold. Hurry up. Get that mold right there. I mean, come on. Crawford beat him up, but he didn't quit.
I feel that. I feel that. But what I don't feel is going into that camp. Whose job is it to pick the sparring partners and to have that stuff on point?
Derek, he the teacher, right?
So when you're not sparring, what are you saying to him?
I mean, we just working the miss.
See, this where it doesn't confuses me, because I just never been a DJ fan. I'm gonna be honest. And look, I tell people this all the time, even the cats that's on here. In order for me to feel some type of way about you that's unpleasant, it has to be an interaction. It's not going to be something that just, I don't know you, we never spoke, but I don't like you because of somebody else said. Most of the time it's individuals that have made comments or whatever the case may be. But EJ, saying it was Derek James. Like, it comes to a point in your career, especially this fight right here, that you have to speak up. EJ had to speak up, man. You trying to tell me you respected Derek James so much that y'all barely had a conversation early on when your pops brought him to you? Brought EJ to Derek James? But one of the biggest fights of your career, you say he the teacher. You say Derek James is the teacher. He said Derek James is the teacher, so you can't speak up.
I mean, we just working the miss.
He said they just working the miss. You are a world-class fighter. And EJ, this is what irritates me a bit. You know what I'm saying? This is what irritates me a bit about EJ. It's because you're saying y'all just working the mitts, but you are an Olympian on one of the worst teams, Olympic teams, when it came to boxing. But you are and always will be registered as an Olympian. Even though there was losses in there, you are an Olympian. You came on the scene and you finally got your shot and you took full advantage of it. But you're going to go over there with Derek James and work mitts knowing that you need more? You need more. So now all of a sudden, Derek James is the teacher and you're the little schoolboy just coming out the damn playground and say, hey, what do you want to do in life, buddy? I saw you over there shadow boxing next to the sliding board. Do you have any hopes and dreams of being a professional fighter? You ever heard of the Olympics? You got talent. Where are your parents at? I want to talk to them ASAP. I saw you shadow boxing, and boy, you was whooping up on your shadow pretty good. That's not the case, y'all. EJ had been in the sport long enough to speak up and tell DJ, no, this ain't right, man. No, this sparring ain't right. Where are the sparring partners? Why all of a sudden DJ can't get southpaw sparring partners? Y'all got Macalouie, ooey, to go in there and fuck up his eye. Where are all the southpaws over? I repeat, southpaws. Report to the world-class furniture store over. A clearance is going on. DJ is basically have all his fighters on the clearance rack. Hurry. Auction at 3 p.m.
the whole time you just working mitts. Like you would think he would put on some gloves and have me like blocking shots and like and not, but it was none of that.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, EJ, about blocking shots, because being that DJ was a professional fighter at one point in time, nothing to bring up in honor of his boxing career. We're just gonna leave that alone. That's not gonna happen. But he did step into the ring. DJ did step in the ring, goddammit, and he was a professional fighter. Okay, so this part of EJ saying what he could have done, I agree. He could have made it a bit more advanced, so to speak, being he was a professional fighter himself. He could have added to the training regiment and just bumped it up just a little bit, made it a bit more rigorous for Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? Came up with some ideas, because on the outside of this fight, they end up hitting the media about him not being paid money. But what if EJ felt that he shouldn't be paid money because Derrick James wasn't doing what he was supposed to do with the sparring partners? He wasn't bringing people in. He wasn't getting strength condition. He wasn't basically tying the knots, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Maybe EJ felt that DJ had just took off his pack and they had some other issues going on that they didn't want to talk about. I mean, that EJ didn't want to talk about. But to just say the fight camp was whack, I want to know why it was whack, though. You can't just put all the culpability on Derrick James. Why was the fight camp whack?
I'm getting whooped right now. It's done.
Like and not, but it was none of that. Had me like blocking mitts. Like you would think he would put on some gloves and have me like blocking shots and like and not, but it was none of that.
I'm getting whooped right
AB,
now. It's done.
name the
Nah,
names.
man, that's crazy. So when you said your body didn't feel right, what are you feeling?
Just feeling weak, depleted, like just feeling out of it, bro. Like I feel like even if I worked out, like I feel like I wasn't getting stronger. Like I wasn't getting any muscles, or even it don't matter how much ad work I do, core work or whatever. Like it just wasn't translating into a better performance, or just me being just cut up, ripped up, and in shape, and all this and that. I don't know.
So let me get this straight. Like, y'all remember, AB said, name the names. I agree, man. Name the names. Come on, like Mike said, man, name the names. Help me understand what Spence is getting at. Help me understand this, y'all. When we was looking at the epilogue, did we not see Errol Spence eating a burger with guacamole on that mother, and that shit looked juicy as hell? It looked like he was eating. Maybe when you was doing core and you didn't see the abs, the abdominal region appear like you thought. Maybe it was because of your diet. Maybe alcohol, had you up there looking like AB. Not the one in the hottest chat in the game, but the one outside, doing what he do. I mean, maybe that was the cause. Maybe that was some inconsistencies in the training camp. But I see a lot of finger point here. I see a lot of open gaps, dead space, voids of you providing us with the information as to why you couldn't speak up. You are the one stepping into the ring, that EJ. You could have said, hey, DJ, from EJ, where my sparring partners at? My strength and condition. I feel like I'm not getting stronger. What you think I should do? And I'm going to be honest with you, coming from the fitness community side of the house, it's not up to the coach. You rarely find coaches that's doing what? Your nutrition. You rarely find coaches, trainers like Derrick James that's sitting up here behind the stove cooking. So that's out the question. That's up to you getting with your people to find a nutritionist. At this point, EJ was on record as saying that he hired a nutritionist. After all the time being stubborn and all that, he hired a nutritionist. So I have to look at it like maybe he's still in a state of mind where he's lost some pockets of memory from the fight, selective amnesia, whatever you want to call it. But it's not making sense because he said he had his own personal nutritionist. So when you're working out and you say you wasn't sparring for 6 to 7 weeks, how can your body not have energy? You saying you wasn't on the clock full time for 6 to 7 weeks sparring. So you trying to tell me mitts with DJ was so intense that your body was breaking down and you couldn't eat anything to recover and build it up? You don't know what red meat is? Nobody was there to get you in shape like you was in shape for the Yardinas Ugas fight and Danny Garcia? Do y'all remember, right, what I told you about the Yardinas Ugas fight? You're trying to tell me from April 16, 2022 to July 2023, everything changed? The people that was able to get you in shape for Ugas couldn't get you in shape for Crawford? Crawford and Ugas is the same skin complexion. It wasn't that you was like, no, somebody trying to throw me one down. They ain't the same fighter. Is that Crawford? Is that Rocky Marciano? Which one is that? Huh? What's going on here? Somebody trying to pull the okie doke. We're talking about from April to July of the next year. You saying you was out the ring as long as you was? When before that, you fought Danny Garcia in December 2020 and you didn't come back to April 16, 2022? And you had a shorter gap on the calendar from Ugas to Crawford, and the people that help you get ready for Ugas disappeared? Hey, somebody need to goddamn get on the area 52, 51, 50, 49, whatever that area is, and see if some Errol Spence, the people that were supposed to get him in shape, see if they actually there, man. See if they actually there. They hiding out somewhere.
No, bro. I just the whole camp. It was just. I'll talk about it more when I'm done and I'm retired. I'll get into like real detail about it and stuff like that because I got proof on certain things. But it was.
He got proof on certain things. But this is Andre Ward you're talking about. All the smoke fight. 1.92 million subs. And you couldn't get this man to come in courtesy to tie everything up. I mean, you're talking about a fight that happened so long ago, yo. This happened so long ago in 2023 that you can't tell us now that you're coming back to fight Tim Tszyu? I don't like it. Seriously, I don't like him holding out, being extremely reserved, secretive, choosing to still stay quiet on certain aspects for which people was extremely garrulous on social media. They was up here assuming what was going on with Errol Spence. Errol Spence just told us that there was some bad communication between him and DJ. But what I know for a fact, that your trainer is not going to cook for you. And you're in no position to cook for yourself. So with Al and all them, they could have definitely got you a nutritionist like you had with Ugas. It ain't adding up. I ain't gonna lie to you. This shit don't add up, bro. I don't like it.
It was just a whole messed up situation.
Man, you know, sparring partners, they be talking, bro.
Yeah.
And I don't think I heard nothing before the fight. It was after the fight. Man, I was in with EJ. And they start, they was saying stuff about the camp and stuff like that. You don't know what's true, but sparring partners was talking, saying stuff like that. Like the camp wasn't good, and he wasn't looking great and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Did you hear some of that?
Yeah. I heard some of that from
hold up. Good question, Ward. Good question. So how does chatting game? Let us get this straight. Ward say after the fight he was hearing from sparring partners. So my biggest Q mark is, did you spar for 6 or 7 weeks? Or not? What was actually going on? Because the sparring partners was putting it out there. I remember talking to Quentin Randall. He said he was over there sparring, and Errol Spence didn't have no rib injury. He said he was in there sparring. You know what I'm saying? Like, which one is it? Andre just told you that the sparring partners was telling him certain things that went on in the camp and you weren't looking good. Somebody lying.
I be hitting him with the
I just
NBA.
heard it now. The dude from Houston, forgot his name. But I was hearing some of that too.
Dude from Houston? He might be talking about Quentin Randall. Because if I'm not mistaken, Quentin Randall was over there sparring with EJ at one point in time. And I think he stayed in Texas. Shout out to Quentin Randall, man.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, he wasn't capping on it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the training camp was trash at the end of the day.
Training camp was trash. Oh my God. You know, I definitely gotta, shred my waiver. You know what I'm saying? I would not be signing any NDAs from here on out on Errol Spence and what he's now coming out and saying that the fight camp was trash. No, your ability to stay dedicated and committed is trash. I'm gonna be honest. You selected to be a hard-headed type of fighter and do your own thing until it caught up with you. So if you saying the fight camp was trash and somehow, some way it should be levied against the legacy-defining moment of Terrence Bud Crawford, you're BSing yourself. Very limited respect should be given to a person who say he has no excuses. Am I right or wrong, chat? He said no excuses, but he made excuses after the fight, and now he's definitely making excuses. Definitely making excuses. And all you soft-hearted aerosexuals that want to dig yourself out the rut again, that's been living in them huts that you built of Walmart cardboard, if you want to come over here and talk some talk about a subject that should be laid to rest at this point, feel free to do it. But I just want to hear you explain what he just said, though. He said the fight camp was trash. So are y'all going to go over here and levy that against Crawford's legacy-defining moment and beating Spence up and stopping him? Do y'all remember what round he was stopped in? The aerosexuals? It was the 9th round. He didn't make it to the championship rounds. He's saying that the fight camp was now trash. But if you spoke to certain people like Doodoo Brown, they'll tell you everything was going well. If you speak to all these other cats that was Errol Spence fanatics, they would tell you straight up that the fight was great. Errol Spence is killing them in camp. And now Errol Spence say, EJ say the fight camp was trash. Man, come on now. You could not make this shit up. He said the fight camp was trash, y'all.
That's crazy. Why them boys got to hit with that NDA at the door? You can't come in non-disclosure?
Oh, yeah?
Heck yeah, man, because they be talking.
Yeah. But, I mean, I wasn't used to none of that. Cause,
Yeah.
usually I was getting off on my sparring.
They don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, they ain't going to talk about it, you know what I'm saying? But at that time,
Yeah.
I should have did some NDAs and all that on everybody. But
Yeah. So how you feeling when you...
Look, the only NDA that Errol Spence should have talked about, I'm gonna be honest with you, don't crack a laugh. For real, I'm being very, very serious on this. But the only NDA was for Derrick James to never admit to slapping the shit out of Errol Spence when they was at the open workout. Because you know how you say EJ was doing all that mid work because he didn't have proper sparring partners, but yet Andre Ward said that the sparring partner was talking after the fight was over. And now he's talking about, hey, you should have had NDAs. Well, the only NDA should be, Derrick James never saying that, I purposely slapped the shit out of EJ because it's a lot of shit that didn't happen well. I think he was being hard-headed. and he wasn't showing up to training the way he should have. Yeah, y'all remember doing the open workout where Derrick James slapped the shit out of Errol Spence on the side that was damaged from the car crash back in the day. He smacked him with his left hand. Who does that? You're doing open workouts with Mitt, and he slapped the shit out of EJ. That's his fighter that he has to go in there and fight. That has to go in there and fight Terrence Crawford. And he smacked the shit out of him in open workouts. Okay.
When you get to Vegas the week of, what's your honest mental, like your confidence level, any doubt?
Well, I got in Vegas probably like 3 weeks before the fight. I was in Vegas for like 3 weeks. And you know,
now hold up. Wait a minute. You remember when they was on here? These aerosexuals, these channel imitators, pretenders, and they were saying that Errol Spence showed up in Vegas on the week of. They said EJ showed up in Vegas the week of. That's why he had to cut weight. He got up there too late. See how shit is just absolutely bullshit a lot of times when it comes to this supposedly YTBC that was burned down from the beginning. They want to sit up here and create these narratives, man, and push them out there for everyone to see. And there's no truth to it. It's 3 weeks, 3 fucking weeks, and you still have problems making weight. 3 weeks. You was in Vegas, and they say he showed up the week of. That's why he was running up the mountain.
You know, it was just regular training, like hitting the pads, running, you know, trying to do sprints, trying to do whatever, but just basic training, bro. Like it wasn't like ask anybody who was in Vegas in that gym, like they didn't see me spar. Ain't nobody see me sparring, baby.
2 weeks out?
2-3 weeks out. I didn't spar 6 weeks out.
Brother, come on, bro.
Like I ain't spar 6 weeks out. Like
oh, that's hurting my head.
He didn't spar 6 weeks out for the fight. 6 weeks out, yo. That's a week. I mean, that's a month and 2 weeks, you know, per se, if you really putting the math together and count on your fingertips and all that. You know the shit we used to do in goddamn grade school. 6 weeks out, no sparring is detrimental. I mean, real talk. Ask any fighter. You know what I'm saying? Sparring for no sparring for 6 weeks is just insane. It's insanely concerning. I say, how can you not head into the biggest fight of your career? How can you be absent of proper sparring for Terrence Bud Crawford? I know some of them, if they have the courage to, I know some of them would love to speak on this in a way that I told you so. But if you're gonna attempt to get behind the mic and say I told you so about Errol Spence, make sure you say that he was hard-headed. Make sure you say he wasn't living right, and make sure you clearly understand the hype that you was putting behind Errol Spence. It wasn't enough because him and Derrick James supposedly had very distant communication. So who's the boxer here? You can't speak up to your trainer DJ and say, "Hey man, what's going on? I mean, what my training partner? You say he's a teacher, right? What my training partner? What my sparring partners, rather? What my sparring partner? I need sparring partners." You should be able to keep accountability of your schedule. How many weeks you're out before the fight? This is not your first time fighting for a title. Where was DJ when you fought Sean Porter? Did you get sparring partners? I mean, how long has EJ been a southpaw? If you all knew that the fight was signed, sealed, delivered between him and Crawford, and it was going to happen in July, therefore, whoever was able to make those arrangements, get those appointments, punctual appointments taken care of, and get the sparring partners out there to the gym before time, when he was out there fighting for the championships, where did they all go when it came time for Crawford? That's my biggest question. Where did they all go?
I had to I got a cortisone shot in my rib because my ribs were hurting, so I had to get a cortisone shot to clear for that.
Okay, so he had to get a cortisone shot in his ribs. So that's what I kind of spoke to Quentin Randall about when he was out there sparring. They say he had a broken rib. He said, no, I sparred him, and that wasn't the case. But he said he had to get a cortisone shot in his rib. If you have a broken rib, cortisone is not going to do anything for a broken rib. You know what I'm saying? A cortisone shot is not going to do anything for a broken rib. You know what I'm saying? He said, I didn't watch the interview yet. Only saw Showbiz claim that Errol was injured during the training camp, and that's why he didn't spar. He was in meds for. A shout out to Juice Lee in the building with the 2-piece. I appreciate you in the super chat. Salute to you, Juice. Salute to everybody that's on deck. I appreciate y'all support as always. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate that always. Yeah, Blunts. Look, the shit he's saying is unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Hearing him say the things he's saying is unbelievable. Because now he's talking about having a cortisone shot. But yet back then they were saying his ribs was broken. But yet he got up every time Crawford freaking knocked him down. He was able to get up.
Yeah, cortisone my ribs were hurting, so I had to get a cortisone shot.
Hurting.
Clear for that. Yeah, cortisone had to get cleared for that, like the week of the fight. But it was just, you know what I'm saying, a lot of stuff going on. But
so can y'all answer me this? If you had to get a cortisone shot because your ribs was hurting, you said 6 weeks out from the fight, you wasn't sparring. I mean, make it make sense, man. This is strangely disturbing. Did he get medically cleared for this interview? Fuck the cortisone shot for your ribs. Did a doctor medically clear EJ for this interview? The reason why I have questions is that you say your ribs was hurting, but you wasn't sparring 6 weeks out. So I'm just trying to determine just a small. That's all I need. I just need just a small. Just give me a little bit to go off of evidence as to why your ribs was hurting. If you wasn't sparring 6 weeks out before Terrence Crawford fight, why would your ribs be hurting? How and why would you need a cortisone shot?
Like I said, at the end of the day, I had to get on that.
Dang, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
It sounds like you had the worst possible camp. Biggest moment of your life.
Oh yeah. But you know, as man, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. I need you to answer this though.
What's up?
In the locker room, bro. People saying EJ looked sleepy, he looked tired. Was it? Because I know this too. Like sometimes, bro. Sometimes you're dealing with a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Like you can get that sleepy feeling. Like I didn't felt that. I'm like, bro, wake up. You gotta shake yourself. Like the pressure's so thick. Sometimes it can make you in that state, and you gotta kind of snap out of it. What was going on in the corner pre-fight? I mean, in the locker room before the fight.
I was tired, bro. Like I didn't really sleep like that because I already knew what.
You felt it.
Yeah, I already knew what. I don't know, like, bro. In my mind, I thought this fight was gonna be competitive, and you know I could win, but. You know what I'm saying? I've been felt it like probably for like a month and some change, like damn, like, but hey, just saying in my head, like, you know what I'm saying, you doing this for your family, like you doing this for your family, but you know what I'm saying, I kinda felt like, you know, it could be bad. It could be bad, but at the end of the day, you know, you gotta be a man. I wasn't gonna not fight, and then I don't know when I was gonna return. Like I could have been returning now 3 years later type stuff. And I wasn't gonna be one of the fighters that do that. So, you know, I had to do what was best for me.
Yeah. So you get in the ring, man, and I think early on he like might have buzzed you with a jab or something like that. I didn't have that happen to me. That's a crazy feeling. That jab is strong if it land in the right spot, especially early.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a right hand or in his case a left hand. But as that fight is unfolding, what's going on in your head? Getting caught with shots, you trying to get your shots, but you're not really landing. Like I think you landed a couple good shots.
Yeah. I mean, nothing was going on in my head. I mean, I was fighting, bro. Like
you ain't thinking like, dang, it's happening. Like what I felt is happening. You ain't thinking.
Nah. I don't know. I just don't be having them type thoughts in my head. Like it's happening.
You don't have those type of thoughts in your head, but you was having those type of thoughts in your head in the locker room. You was tired and you felt like it was going to be all bad. But when it started to go bad for you inside in front of under the bright lights in front of all those individuals that was there going for you, when it actually started to come to fruition, you wasn't thinking nothing. You just like, oh, I've been here before. No, you haven't been there before. You've been there with another world-class fighter, and you haven't been in this position. We haven't seen you. I don't know if it's something that you went through behind closed doors. You know, you and your friend was playing around or something like that, but we never seen you go through adversity to this level. So why wasn't you sitting up there thinking about it? You said it was going to be all bad. It starts to go all bad, and then you say you wasn't thinking nothing. I just got to look at it like, you know, he's more bad. I don't know. I'm starting to second guess this Tim Tszyu fight now.
Definitely, like, you be having no type thoughts?
I mean, I be up most of the time, so
like, I be going. Like, I'm just going. Like, shoot, I'm trying to fight. Like, that was all in my head. Like, I was just trying to fight. Like,
and I guess I'm asking because that had never happened to you before.
Yeah.
So sometimes
talk that talk, Ward. That had never happened to you before. So as fight fans, where's all this coming from? Where's the inlet? Who's injecting this? Where's all this coming from, yo?
Sometimes in them type of moments, maybe your brain will take you a place it ain't never took because this has never happened.
Yeah.
You always on top.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I was just trying to fight, bro. Like, that's all I was trying to do, just trying to fight. Like, it ain't never occurred to me, like, oh, man.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, EJ, you sound like bro man from the fifth floor, goddammit. Nothing. Just making a ham sandwich. Nothing. Just chilling. That's what EJ you sound like right now. Man, I was just trying to fight. I usually have the ring to myself at this time of the night.
And like you was not this and that. Like even when I got off the canvas, it was just you know what I'm saying?
You didn't hesitate, you just, you know, got up.
You
got
like
up.
I was just fighting, bro. Like that's just who I am, bro.
So anything that Crawford had that night that you wasn't expecting?
Man, you would think like we would go over like him and his southpaw stance, like me blocking the jab. We didn't do nothing in the training camp. Like,
that's crazy.
Hey, we didn't do nothing in the camp. You'd think like we'll go over there, like me keeping my hands right here and catch.
Hold up. And this is not a question to the hottest chat in the MF game for sure. Because anybody that's sitting over there, they understand that that's some bullshit. Okay? So this is not anything proposed to the hottest chat in the MF game. But is that not the dumbest shit you heard? Like, look, when I was hearing these cats on here give a breakdown on EJ and how this dude said how stupid Bud Crawford was, you know, and it's no way that he can beat EJ because he's just stupid. And to sit up here and hear the dumb shit come out of EJ's mouth and saying they didn't work on stopping his jab is just crazy. You're an Olympian. You are a 3 title holder heading to this fight, July 29, 2020. You are going in there against a guy who they say is nobody on his resume that could beat Spence. Not even Crawford. And then DJ was the same one up there when confronted by some of these media members. Who is he? He ain't fought nobody. All y'all was singing the same mother effing choir. He ain't fought nobody. He ain't fought nobody. So you trying to tell me a trainer who was a professional fighter did not train Errol Spence? And Errol Spence himself, with the tools and technique that you possess, you wasn't educated enough to go in there and know how to touch a jab, to parry a jab? Are you serious? I mean, no. I may have to put on my goddamn doctor's coat and prognose you with something. Even though my qualifications doesn't allow me to sit up here and do it legally, I have to do it pretentiously, for real. I have to order him some medication. And it ain't gonna be cortisone. Because he's sitting up here saying some crazy shit, dog. I'm just being honest. He's sitting up here saying some crazy stuff that just doesn't make any sense. It's never gonna make no sense. It's never gonna make any sense, bro. What are you talking about, EJ? They said you was the best boxer. You on the pound for pound list right next to Crawford. Crawford couldn't light a match to you, EJ. Crawford's resume couldn't light a match to what Errol Spence had on his resume. And you're trying to tell us that DJ had to teach you how to parry a jab, touch the jab, touch. You didn't know what to do? They say you was one of the most dangerous fighters in boxing.
Catching it and shooting back and all this and that, but it was none of that. Like when he came
It's
out,
making me mad, bro.
I was just holding my shit like this, and I was like, you know what I'm saying? It was a lot of stuff that you know that could have been different or could have been prevented. Even if I wasn't sparring like that, we could have prevented a lot of things that shouldn't have happened. You know what I'm saying? Like just simple placement and me catching the jab from his southpaw stance and things like that.
You wasn't telling him, my dear, we got to work on this.
Nah.
EJ, I mean, Ward just asked one of the most pertinent questions of this interview, which is absolutely been like a high-speed chase, yo. This interview has been like a high-speed chase, man. In a wheelbarrow. For real. With a lawnmower engine attached to that shit. Still one wheel, goddammit. Andre Ward. You have to hear him ask this again.
You got to work on this.
Jab from his southpaw stance and things like that.
You wasn't telling him, my dear, we got to work on this.
Nah.
You didn't tell him we got to work on this? And EJ said, nah. I don't know, man. I don't know what to think of this Tim Tszyu fight no more. I'm going for EJ. Well, after hearing, it might be something much deeper. I do have to put this into consideration. Real, I can't be selfish. I can't just overlook it like the man wasn't, you know. I said this long time ago that he's going to suffer residual effects because the pavement wins every time when it comes to human bodies. You know, that you're going to have some type of effect. But with EJ, bro, Ward say you didn't say nothing to him about it, and you say, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I mean, this right here is what they call sugarcoating it. Glazing the F out this damn interview for all the wrong reasons. Usually glazing mean you're basically clout chasing, you're building something up. But for EJ, he's glazing over this shit as if to make it look more enticing than what it is. Like he wants people to feel some type of way and feel sorry that he was incapable. He went back to that of an amateur fighter. The things he's saying he don't know about. Why you didn't do that? No. You didn't say nothing about it? No, I didn't say nothing about it. Why, yo? Why you didn't say nothing about Derrick James getting sparring partner? Why you didn't say nothing about, hey, maybe we should work on this. Maybe we should work on that. He say they was doing mitts, right? Wasn't that a time for EJ to say, if we're going to do mitts, why don't we just work on, you simulate Crawford's southpaw stance and let's go over the, let's remediate those type of drills. None of that shit happened. I don't know what to say about EJ in this interview. I mean, the shit doesn't make any sense to me that he's telling Andre Ward, no, I didn't say nothing.
You better than me. I'd have been talking, bro. I'd have been talking. Man, bro.
The interview hit a dead spot right there. The interview hit a dead spot right there. The interview hit a dead spot right there. The interview hit a dead spot. And repeat. Ward was left speechless because he know goddamn well EJ is bullshitting. For you to have that many titles, from Kell Brook to Sean Porter to Ugas and everybody in between, for you to have that many world titles, now you're up here acting like, I know nobody now. Nobody never told me. Me never know. You trying to act like you don't know boxing now? You can't suggest things to Derrick. Are you scared of him or something?
Bro, that's crazy. Man, the fight gets stopped in the 9th round. Are you coherent? You know where you at?
Yeah, for sure.
So you was just hurt.
Huh?
You was just
I was just hurt.
But you knew where you was at, though.
Yeah, for sure. I knew where I was at. I even got to the locker room and I told them, like, what y'all looking sad for?
I seen that.
Like, what y'all looking sad for, man? True up. Like, you know what I'm saying? It happens. Like, I done did a lot of people like this.
Yeah.
Like,
this would come with it.
Yeah.
Who? You talking about DSG and Ugas? Okay.
Come with the game, man. Yeah.
You talking about Kell Brook?
Yeah, I started looking so damn sad.
None of them was Crawford.
Like somebody died.
Yeah, I remember that. They had the camera on you when you said that.
You know what I'm saying? That's how it was.
Was there any party that was relieved that it was over? Been talking about this dude for 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it's been.
I ain't even think about that. I ain't think about believe that it was over, this and that. Like, bro, I'm an even kill dude, bro. Like, I don't like. It wasn't that I was relieved because just like it is what it is. Like, damn, like, yeah, it happened and you know, this and that, but you know, stuff happened, bro. You gotta be a man about stuff that happen like that. Like, some stuff not gonna happen in your favor, but you know, how you gonna bounce back and who are you as a man?
Yeah.
Like, and I just had to eat it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't like the way it tastes.
Yeah.
But
Well, Crawford fans like the way it tastes. You know what I'm saying? Victory was very, very palatable, and tantalizing, very salivating, to be honest. That victory was very, very, calming. The comfort food. When you got that victory cake. But this interview with Errol Spence, when they hit that dead spot right there, it just goes to show you that Ward didn't really want to take it in places to make it awkward for EJ. I just feel like a lot of what EJ said should never have these aerosexuals trying to come back like the living dead and say, well, you have to blame it on the accident. No, this man is up here telling you all what didn't happen before the fight. Y'all want to talk about how injured he was but he never said he broke his ribs. Y'all was up here talking about he had broken ribs. Y'all know who y'all are. And for him to get approved for a cortisone shot, he still went in there and fought. He showed up to Vegas 3 weeks before the fight when y'all say he showed up on the fight week. You know, there's a lot of lying going on, a lot of capping in old school terms. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of that going on. Individuals just want to create their own storyline for Spence. But Spence was hard-headed. He wasn't living right. He pretty much told y'all that shit. And for him to take the whooping the way he did and say he gives no excuses, he gets no tune-ups, I just feel like he gave a lot of excuses during this interview. Even though he came clean on some things, it's still leaving very dirty. Because it's almost like he's putting some information out there without providing all the evidence to check the boxes. He's willing to give you a piece, but he's not going to finish the whole cake. It's just like baking a cake and don't put the icing on it.
I had to eat it.
Yeah. What was your first conversation like with Derek? Y'all talk that night?
Nah.
Y'all talk after that, weeks after?
Yeah, we talked a little bit weeks after, but it wasn't really. I came to his house and gave him his check and things like that. I came to his house and gave him his check. You know what I'm saying? If I was trying.
So for those of you that may not understand this point, hold on for a second, y'all. Hold on for a second. Yeah. Hearing Errol Spence say that he dropped off his check. That was one of the dilemma. Oh, well, no, I wouldn't say a dilemma. That was a problem because when you look at how the information was filtered through social media, they were saying that DJ was taking EJ to court over unpaid expenses for him being a coach. He felt like he was bamboozled. He should have made more money than what he actually did. But looking back on it, right? Now, whatever money that you thought you were short of, it's warranted that you get paid under what you believe your value was, because it seemed like the services wasn't rendered. You know what I'm saying? All the services wasn't rendered for the magnitude of the fight. You didn't maximize your fighter's potential to go in there and be victorious over Terrence Crawford. So whatever money that you thought you didn't receive, it seemed like it's warranted at the end of the day. But Spence said he walked over there and gave him his check. Obviously, the check was much lower than what DJ expected, and we don't know those numbers. But through everything we heard in this interview, and I didn't even play the whole entire interview, it seems like your services wasn't rendered. It seems like you may have had too much on your plate, or you and EJ had a fragmented relationship that he really don't want to go in detail about. I may be wrong, but I may be right.
I was trying to get over him while I came to your house, bro. In your house, like, and sat down and gave you a check.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Mm-hmm. What about Al? What's your conversation like with Al after that fight?
I mean, our conversations always pleasant, like.
Even after that?
Yeah, even after that, like, you know, he was just saying it's cool, it's all right. Like, it was always always been pleasant. Like, we talked about, you know, certain things, and you know, even after that, like that's how I set up my trust. I set up my kids' education trust. You know, just set up a whole bunch of stuff. That's when he, you know, hooked me up with, you know, people he worked with in business and things like that, and just got everything, you know, situated.
There was talk about the rematch. When did that die where you was like, it ain't gonna happen?
I mean, I never said it wasn't gonna happen. It just, you know, I think Al knew
You better choose your words wisely. Cause we remember the wheelchair when you was rolling yourself out of Target. It seemed like you went in there and you grabbed some tape off the goddamn shelf and said, hurry up and give me an eye patch. Somebody, you rolling yourself out of Target and shit. And then somebody turned on the phone and say, oh man, Errol Spence, what's wrong with his eye? This is around the time we should be talking about the announcement of the rematch. But Errol Spence is with eye patch. What does this mean exactly?
you know, I don't know. I guess Al just knew, you know, what I was going through, and he knew that, you know, it couldn't happen no time soon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just couldn't happen no time soon.
Was that hard for you to not have to try to get that back?
Yeah, for sure.
Look, listen, I'm stopping it right here because for those of you that's thinking what I'm thinking, right? I'm basically up here. I'm just pondering the thought, right? I'm saying to myself, where is the I gonna come into the convo? Where's the I? Please. We don't need open arguments and closing arguments. No deliberation. The whole thing was the eye patch. Seen in the store, seen wheeled out in the wheelchair, and you say Al just didn't see where's the eye patch, because that ultimately was the reason that they were saying the rematch didn't happen.
For sure, that was hard, for sure. But you know, I needed that breaking that time off. You know,
Yeah.
it definitely was a positive. Me taking that long off from boxing, that long off from going to the gym, and just not just physically, but just getting everything right mentally, and just becoming more of a what I say a functional man, rather than just, you know, just being a man, but just being, you know, a man with, you know, with morals and standards, and you know, being about my family and really saying who I say I am on camera.
Yeah. Couple more, I'm gonna get you out of here. What have you learned about people since that loss?
Yo, that was a bunch of caca. I'm being honest, man. EJ, I didn't like it, bro, because back then there was a lot of integrity. People basically jeopardizing their integrity to basically vouch for you. And you said it was an eye patch, but we hear nothing about an eye patch in this interview. You said Al believed that it wasn't feasible for you to continue and carry forward with going back into a rematch with Terrence Crawford. But at the time, it was supposedly an eye injury. That was what's circulating around here in rotation. All these cats was doing a freaking interview with an eye patch. Oh, he's injured. Who injured him? Why was he in the store with an eye patch on the opposite eye the other day? See, this is what I'm talking about. You know, for those of you that's really hardcore fight fans, you understand that, yes, in boxing, there's some bullshit that happens too. You know, I mean, there is some BS that happens in combat sports all the time. But when you get a popular fighter like EJ, this right here, somebody's gonna write a little book about sooner or later. But when you have a fight, a historic fight such as this one that has pretty much been in wait, it's been imminent for quite some time leading up to that fight. For years upon years, we've been thinking about this fight. For it to happen, and then years pass by post-fight, and to finally hear from Spence, and for him to leave out all those nuggets, like we're ciphering, we're sifting through to get those nuggets. We finally get the nugget and kind of find out it's fake. You didn't say anything about your eye being injured, but you said simply you cannot go into the rematch with Crawford because you wouldn't be ready. But yet, EJ, you held Crawford up. You enacted your rematch clause and you held that man up when he could have been getting ready for another fight. That's bullshit, bro. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's straight up pure putrid.
City, people in general. Like, what's some of your takeaways on that?
I mean, I wouldn't say people are fake. I just, people are just who they are. I don't, just because somebody don't check on me, or I don't think nothing wrong with them just cause, people got their own life, and a lot of these people got bills they got to pay, they got jobs, they got kids, they working. Man, you'll be surprised how many people that live in paycheck to paycheck and just trying to make ends meet. So I really don't take it in a negative where people didn't hit me up, or, didn't really just, keep in touch with me and things like that. Cause at the end of the day, I didn't keep in touch with them either. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It go both ways. They probably like, dang, why EJ? You know what I'm saying? I never kept in touch with them either. So, I took it for a grain of salt, but I also, just got deeper and connected with my family and just, and really just used them. I hugged down to them tight, you know what I'm saying? Cause it always been like that. Like something happened to me and I go to them and just, they always been my safe place. And I just learned from that to like even to today, like, what I'm saying, this is my safe place. So I just keep them around. I stay around them because I notice every time I'm with my lady, with my family, nothing bad happens. Hey, it's always when I'm with
y'all.
Yeah.
Feel me?
So I'm with y'all, something bad happened. When I told my lady, I'm like, bro, whenever I'm with you or my family,
we good.
Bro, nothing happened. Nothing. I can't think of anything bad happened when I'm with my family.
Yeah.
It's when I'm with characters and different other people that something happened every time.
Yeah. Well, that's a positive upside to this interview with him realizing after the fact that, certain people he was in the circle with, they spent him to a whirlwind. They ended up affecting him for life. That was the circle he chose to be with. But he said when he's with his lady, I mean, that's for him, to each his own. He was with his lady, he didn't get in trouble. And it's good to hear him speak about family. At the end of the day, and at the beginning of the Grand Rising, Errol Spence is a father. He is a parent to his kids. So, the criticism just basically stops at the boxing layer and not extends into his personal life. Even though I have criticized him for making decisions, because he had kids for quite some time now, but you still chose the other side, that leisure side that became more of an identity tag for you than what you was doing in the ring. And people still can look at that footage that's out there on YouTube all over the place when he had the car crash. He could have lost his life, man. Every time I run into Paul Williams, shout out to the Punisher. I remember when he was set to face Canelo Alvarez, man, and he was absolutely that killer. And he had that accident down here. I still remember hearing that shit. You know what I'm saying? A professional boxer had, an accident and shit like that. I'm like, damn. For EJ, he does have not just one angel, but a plethora of angels around him, because he was able to come back to a physically demanding sport as boxing and compete at the highest level. Though the results wasn't in his favor for the Terrence Crawford fight, you still have to say to yourself, he got up every time he was dropped. And that's coming off an accident that pretty much could have left him as a paraplegic. It could have left him in the worst condition that when people talk about what he used to do in boxing, he probably didn't want to hear that shit. He probably said, I don't want to hear that no more. Why are we talking about what I used to do? Why are we looking at film? That shit irritates me. I don't want to hear nothing else about that. That's the upside of, this whole deal with EJ, changing the course of his life around maturing, you know, in his lifestyle, understanding that it's a lot of people that want to be a part of the movement. But when you stall out and you become idle and they feel like you're not moving forward, doesn't benefit them, they're going to disappear on your ass. And then you look to the left and you look to the right, those people are gone. And then when you start getting that motion again, those individuals start to slowly try to creep back in your circle. And you have to be conscious enough to say, where were you when I needed you? I didn't see you around. You know, I lost a little motion. My traction was a little bit more slippery. And you abandoned me. You was gone. And that's what he said. You know, a lot of people left him. And, you know, when you're in that type of situation, especially in Texas being so big, you know, you look at it like there's a lot of people that want to ride with you. Well, when it comes time for them to ride for you, and it's really very minimal benefit for them to do so, that's when you find them abort mission, gone.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, hey, for stuff to keep stuff from bad from happening,
stay away from y'all.
I'm staying with my family.
Yeah.
I'm kicking it with my. Every time you see me, you're gonna see me with somebody. You're gonna see me with one of the kids. You're gonna see me with a family member. You're gonna see me with somebody.
That's
with
real.
my lady, like, you're not finna see me out hanging out doing this, doing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? None of that. Like, if I'm doing anything, I'm probably not with my lady, or I'm in and out. Like, I'm not just sticking around, bro. So the main thing I learned is just, bro, just you safer with your family,
Yeah.
and just, you know, just, you know, people are who they are, and everybody got their own life, and you know, you just gotta look in the mirror. You're not hitting them up either. Like, I'm not the person to be hitting people up.
Right.
You know, I like to be by myself. Let me see.
And why are you still fighting?
Let me see.
Now, this question could have been asked before Crawford, because the answer could have came a little bit more expeditiously for Crawford, because if he was saying, you know, this is what he declared, this was his declaration at 147, that he was going to come for that belt for Crawford and become undisputed. Okay, that is in the distance past. Now he's been asked, why do you keep fighting? And let's see what EJ has to say.
Because I feel like I still got something, and man, it'd be boring, bro. I need some excitement.
Yeah.
So you just said that, you know, you with your family and everything, and it's boring. He needs some excitement. Let me see. Errol Spence said he needs some excitement, so he's gonna go back to boxing. But yet you get enough time to spend with your family or whatever, and you was contemplating even returning back to the sport. So you said sometimes you got to make sacrifices. So the real reason why you're returning back to the square circle, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. Is it because of money? Is it because of you just bored? Because at the end of the day, you know what the blimp says, the boxing blimp says, right? You don't play boxing. So if Errol Spence is he does look in good shape in the interview. He doesn't look like he's oversized or overweight or whatever, but he is coming there with a tough opponent in Tim Tszyu. But he doesn't know. He doesn't know why he's returning back to boxing. He said he's bored. But as the blimp always read, you don't play boxing.
That's why I wanted to go to Australia.
Right.
Because, I mean, I could have found Dallas and all this and that, and I ain't want to go through all the people ask for tickets.
Right.
Man, bro, my fights, when I fight in Dallas, I be getting out like 40, 50 tickets.
Ooh.
And I don't even talk to 40, 50 people. I talk to probably 5 people, bro. If that. Like,
in rotation?
Huh?
You rotate with about 5 people?
Man, and including them 5 people, my mom and my daddy. Like, I'm not talking to people like that. My mom, my daddy, my girl, Jordan, and probably one other person, like Popcorn or something, like T-Law. yeah, probably like 7 people, bro. RJ, like I'm not talking to people like that. So
Yeah.
and I'm just giving out tickets because just people, man, you can
They
grew up
hitting
with
you
people
up,
and
bro.
all this and
Yeah.
that.
I'm your
So
cousin, man.
yeah,
Brother, I ain't seen you.
all that, like people coming from New York and all that, like you just giving people tickets. And I was like, ain't nobody coming to Australia.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, y'all ain't doing
Yeah,
that.
you really coming to Australia, you really want to come, so I got you. Yeah, so, but man, I just feel like I know that, I got a lot left. And for me, it's not, I'm not going to give it all to boxing. It's really a fight by fight basis. I might be done after this. It just all depends. Training camp, man, training camp ain't really, I still got 8 weeks left. And I'm like, bro, I've been thinking about vacation spots where I'm going. I've been, I've been telling my girl, like, hey man, we finna go here, we finna go there, like, we finna dip.
That's how you know you getting older, bro.
Yeah, it's like, you getting older. Like the first of this year, bro, I done been like 4 or 5 different places. Like I went to St. Martin, I've been to DR, I've been to Aruba.
DR ain't nothing to brag about.
So
Like 2, 3 more other places, but I'm just telling like, yo, we finna go, we gonna go somewhere. But for me, bro, I just wanna sit and embrace the moment, bro. Cause I know this is over one day. It's over one day and it's not coming back. And I don't wanna be 10 years down the line, like, man, like I should have enjoyed it more. I should have really embraced it more. So, this time I'm gonna fully embrace it. Live 100%, you know what I'm saying, to what I say I'm gonna do, and just, and just be in it and just look at everything, embrace everything, and just take everything in.
yeah.
And I know I got a lot left, but like you said, you're not trying to leave everything, you know. Like he seen me spar, Jordan's like, man, you still got a lot left in the tank, bro. I was like, yeah, but I'm not trying to get them everything that's in the tank.
Yeah, that's right there.
So you just gotta know when to fold them, and we'll definitely see. But I'm excited about this, bro. I'm excited. It's kind of like a pro debut, kind of, because I ain't fought in so long.
Yeah.
And people keep asking me, why don't you take a tune up? Why don't you? Like, bro, like I don't want to tune up, bro.
Yeah. You ain't never did it.
Yeah, I never done it, bro. I feel like if I take a tune up, I'm not gonna take training lightly, but I don't know. It's a difference when, like I think they got me down on the odds or something.
Yeah.
So, that excites me, bro.
Yeah.
They get me pumped up, like, oh, they doubted me. So I love the doubts because they had all the doubts with the Danny Garcia, with the guys, they were saying I'm a shell of myself.
With the Crawford.
They're saying this, saying that. So that just get me more excited to show everybody that, I am who I say
I don't think they had you down.
Still
on
got
the
that fire though. I seen in the
you tripping.
And then when y'all announced the fight, you still got that fire though. You try to shake your hand and you had to let him know, like, nah, we ain't gonna do that.
Oh no, that fire not. That fire.
We ain't gonna do that. You ain't gonna bump on online and then try to be. I was good to see.
He told me, because it might have been because I just seen where he told me he gonna do me like Fundora did Keith Thurman. And I'm like, bro, like what? I'm like, all right. And then when he's trying to be all, I'm like, nah, bro, we not doing that, bro. Like, nah, this ain't that, bro. Like,
this ain't that.
Yeah, this ain't that, bro. Like, you got to say you say you gonna do this, you gonna do that, bro.
Yeah.
We gonna handle it.
Yeah. I love to see it, bro.
Yeah.
Hey man, listen, brother.
Be sure you check out the full interview. All the smoke fight. I put the link. Andre, good guy, man. I put the link in the chat for you all to check out the full interview. I can say this, that it was good to hear Spence be asked questions that for a long time people was guessing. You know what I'm saying? Dibbling, dabbling, this and that and the other, creating their own freaking conclusion as to what they believe was going on with EJ. And the wild part about it, when all this was taking place back then, a lot of people didn't have firsthand information. They had 4th, 5th, and 10th party information. Basically, listen for other channels of individuals who thought they could get on here and say, this is what I heard straight from the camp, 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 from the camp. That's all you heard back then. It was fun while it lasted. It was a bit of a expedition, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Being like you on a little vehicle, taking a tour on the Serengeti. It was a jungle in this YouTube shit, talking about Crawford Spence. It was. I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of it was fun, and some of it was just non-conducive. It was just a lot of freaking back and forth animosity, channels going back and forth. But in the process of it all, right? When you digest it, you say to yourself, like, I was a part of that fight from the outside looking in from afar. I learned what I learned about this. Spence went in there and was defeated via stoppage. That fight right there catapulted Crawford to win another belt at a higher division and also go up to another division and beat the face of boxing, which proves that if EJ wouldn't have had the accident, right, it wouldn't have played a factor, in my opinion, to the fighting style. You know why I say what I say? Because you have to listen to the interview in depth to know that he never brought up the accident. He was pretty much saying that it was poor communication between him and his trainer. They wasn't on the same sheet. Somehow there's a lack of respect between them. I don't know if it was because of the time that they've been together, but when this is the biggest fight of your life and your trainer's up here saying, who is Bud Crawford fought? Then we're assuming, a lot of us are assuming that you all have it all tied together in training camp, because DJ was known to have private sessions. He didn't want people in there. He had to do everything his way. So if a person has you barricaded in a furniture store, they're supposed to be making sure as a fighter that you have all the game plan figured out. It's supposed to be points in there where y'all sit down and y'all talk about, what do we need? But you know what? It was also said that DJ said he don't watch film. I mean, why would you, EJ, want to stay with your trainer, Derek James, if he wasn't watching film? Unless both of you all took Crawford for granted and said, we don't need to do too much than what we already doing. It's not broke, so we ain't gonna fix your fighting style. Continue to do what you've been doing. You're gonna break Crawford down. That might have been their mentality. And that shit blew up. That shit imploded. It burned down. It smoked them out. I mean, if you ever want to talk about one of the biggest fights where people had money, I can't imagine them, the shit that was changed. It's people still recovering from that Spence fight. For real. It's people that still recovering from the Spence fight. It was just terrible to think that you saying that the style isn't broken yet because you're still 28-0, and it's nobody on his resume that you can't beat. So therefore, everybody that he's fought, they're looking at it like you can beat Crawford too, because he ain't fought nobody the caliber of Errol Spence. So at the end of the day, don't sweat the small stuff. Let's just go out here and show them what we show them. And unfortunately, they learned the hard way. They learned the hard way, boy. They learned the hard way. And as y'all heard me say, it's a lot that EJ left out. That's why, and if you want to do a reaction to this whole interview, which a lot of people don't want to talk about it, those are the EJ fans. Those are the aerosexuals still mad and angry. And I know I still have some individuals out there that's mad that I was, Bud Crawford fan to the end. And they still mad to this day. That's why I pop up on some of these channels. People get mad. Some of these haters get real mad because they was aerosexuals. And people that I never met before, they stay mad. They're never going to be unmad. They're going to stay mad. All because of something they can't change, yo. You cannot change the outcome. Their outcome is not going anywhere. It's over. Crawford has lifted off. Space station, we have liftoff. Over. I repeat, we have liftoff. Crawford left Errol Spence where he lie and went up to 54 and 68, and the rest is history. The rest is done. It's recorded. It will forever be in the boxing annals. It's nothing this YouTube community can do about it. One of the most fascinating periods in boxing where we was able to communicate, use our own voice to talk about what we thought that was going to play out between Errol Spence and Crawford. And then in this interview, we was able to finally hear Errol Spence partially admit to certain things that we already thought. Partially. He would not give us the whole bread and butter of what he was saying. It's too many open-ended spaces in there that he avoided giving us the fine details. If you wasn't sparring, why were your ribs hurting? Why did they say you showed up on the week of the fight and you say you showed up 3 weeks? I mean, come on, man. Like, he gave you some truth and then he gave you some partial truth. Was there some lies floating around there? Potentially, But all I'm saying is this is something that will forever be talked about. People are going to feel how they feel. It ain't too much can be done about it. I mean, promo is promo. EJ wasn't really big on promo before the Crawford fight. Crawford definitely wasn't big on promo before his fight with Errol Spence. But both of them have hit different levels. It's just Spence is returning back to boxing. He goes in here and looks impressive against Tim Tszyu, and people believe they want to see him in there with a bigger fight. They might be talking about putting him in there with, a big name opponent. I'm pretty sure Spence versus Erislandy Lara is something for a championship at 160. Anybody. Not nothing crazy, but anybody. I definitely don't want to see him going in there against Boots right now. I don't want to see him going in there against Sebastian Fundora, but I would like to see him fight a Charlo, preferably Jamel Charlo. Just something to break up the monotony and shit like that. But shout out to the hottest chat in the MF game, man. Y'all been great. And for those out there in the workforce, I want you to have an amazing Thursday. I know it's getting close to the weekend. And I wish y'all nothing but the best. Continue to support the channel. And big salute to those who supported in the super chat, man. Love y'all. Real talk. Because I haven't been on here on a consistent basis. But for those who dropped up in the chat, the hottest chat in the MF and game is the best in the game, period. A-Side official. No negotiation needed, period. I'm out. Peace.